Okay, guys, welcome to the 21metrics wrap up today with Quant Juhani Savonen, and we are here to explore the latest market movements and what is going on in Bitcoin, cryptos, and macro. But first, don't forget to check our partner sideshift.ai. I will add the link to our show notes. But when you look at short shift volume, basically like weekly shift count, it has been increasing in the early months of 25. So it looks good. It's only one platform, but that's like one indicator what is going in there. But yeah, Bitcoin is now approaching 90K. So it's around 88K, and we are seeing buying pressure from like well level buyers here. Retail is not like buying yet, but we are seeing that, and but yeah, I guess we need to ask Juhani. So how do you see this playing out? Are you like bullish or bearish, or do you see this as like a bull trap, or what's your
Yeah, like the current situation, I see it mostly like that MSTR is buying, like because we know from last week that today MSTR is buying like Bitcoin worth of several hundreds of millions of dollars, I think. And I
yeah
think that's like the main reason why that's pressuring the market up, because like most of the data is still like pretty bearish. Like last time when we discussed, we had like this really bearish view for going into the early spring or late spring at the moment. Like we can talk about late spring at the moment, I think. So
yeah
that was but I think like in general, because the situation doesn't really have changed, as in USA we see declining dollar liquidity actually,
yeah
and it's kind of like what we saw in the chart as well.
yeah
Uh, yeah, actually, and we basically see in this balance sheet picture as well that it's increasing still, and that's
yeah
kind of like the has been the main driver of buying pressure, I think, in last couple of months, because like if you look the global liquidity factor that we have in the chart, other picture that you probably have in the slides, and
yeah
it's kind of like probably the other thing that basically was showing that it's still like declining, and that's mainly caused by like partially by the policy of actually the current government, because they want to cut public spending, and this reduces the credit creation, right?
yeah. So as you said, like MSTR is buying, and right here we have the MSTR chart, and it
Uh,
just like yesterday crossed 500K bitcoins. They now have 506,137 Bitcoin units. And as we maybe like discussed before, they have been like buying pro cyclically. So basically, when like Bitcoins price was weak here in 22, for example, here in the middle, they weren't buying that much. But then when the market recovered in 23, they started buying more. And and then like when we look at the balance sheet, it's been like been parabolic in late 24 and now until 25. So do you see like sailors still buying,
yeah.
or how do you see
Uh,
this playing out? This is like a
mm,
leading
I think
indicator.
I think he's just like forced to buy to basically to support the market, that the prices don't fall. Like
Yeah,
basically because we basically saw when he stopped buying recently, then basically market has been tanking since then, right?
yeah, yeah.
And
That's right.
so there's no really like natural demand for Bitcoin at the moment, I think. So like in the
Mm,
other charts where I show like that the on-chain activity is declining, so there's less like demand on the on-chain resources or whatever we want to call it, and just kind of like just indicates that it's basically support buying Bitcoin at the moment, and there's not really like so much demand, because I think like the fundamentals are just very still, like that we discussed. And
okay.
it's kind
Yeah,
of like it just basically shows here basically that he mainly buys actually when the credit is really easy in financial markets. Like
mhm,
he was buying far less when the rates were at the highest, right? And
yeah,
when the interest rates started to fall, then they started to raise more cash to buy Bitcoin, right? And that's
yeah,
kind of like the thing at the moment, because like the treasury rates in Europe and also USA are increasing, and that's kind of like can limit probably like the amount of cheap credit available for this kind of adventures. I think so.
So
And
as I said, like
yeah,
he was he's now buying more when money is cheap or like credit is
yeah,
cheap.
actually, like yeah,
I
actually,
guess
yeah,
like
because like interest rates basically peak somewhere here in 22 late April or something like that, right? When the last hikes happened.
yeah,
And since then, when the credits started to ease again, like if you look the liquidity factor that I built, it has been like increasing the liquidity until somewhere October last year.
yeah,
And that's kind of like starts to put like pressure how much money you can actually raise from market
mm,
without having to pay high interest rates. And obviously, if you would buy like or try to get like raise capital that has high interest rates and suddenly the underlying goes down, then probably your borrowers are not so keen to have those bonds, right?
right, yeah, yeah,
And because
okay,
normally like bonds are priced based on the past bonds that company has had, right? And if the interest rates of those bonds start to go up, then it just makes it far more harder for MSCR to raise hundreds of millions of dollars every
yeah,
quarter, right? And
yeah,
it's kind of like the main risk I hear. I think so because if he cannot like raise more capital, if there's sudden frictions in credit markets like we see now, that there's less credit expansion in the USA just because less public spending and things get tighter in the housing market there as well.
yeah,
And people like there's like a lot of articles about Wall Street Journal and other major newspapers that a lot of people are now selling their extra Airbnb apartments, for instance, in certain red states. And that's
yeah,
kind of like just the indication that probably there's not so much credit available in the future. And that's kind of like major risk factor
yeah,
in macroeconomic sense, like setting pressure where actually the demand of this kind of digital assets can go.
yeah,
And that's kind of like what I warned already, like in our last meeting, right? That the, basically the monetary liquidity was decreasing in dollars, and because we know that most of the holders of Bitcoin are living in the USA or jurisdictions where they use dollars mainly, and that's
yeah,
kind of why I think like only the dollar liquidity actually matters. I think
mm,
because that's probably would make more sense because people just look the M2, but I don't think it's really descriptive of the like financial market because normally only like dollar liquidity matters in
yeah,
financial markets where dollar is the main reserve currency.
yeah. But like MSTR is a leading indicator, so we can see here like back in 2021, MSTR started buying a lot, and then the spot price followed. So we are also seeing the same here. But as I said, like the um, environment also affects that is credit easily available, and that so
Yeah,
many.
actually,
But
and
at this,
that's kind of
we have,
like why it's really crucial like follow interest rates, I think,
yeah,
and because we have seen that those increasing recently in USA, that's not
yeah.
really
But like
healthy for digital assets. Yeah.
now with over like 500k Bitcoin, if seller stops buying Bitcoin, I guess that's a very sign because it's a leading indicator and main source of demand. So as you said, we'll have to follow that. Is he going to stop buying or continue? We'll see. But anyways, I guess he also had slide here.
Yeah, actually, this is a liquidity one. Yes, like we have seen that it's decreasing since October, and
Yeah,
that's why I think also that there was slight bubble in crypto assets, digital assets in general, and stocks as well
yeah,
after the Trump election, because we see that there's a pump, but at the same time the liquidity has been decreasing. And then the following slide also the actually the blockchain activity that's normally also proxy for like kind of like crypto asset liquidity. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, that's kind of like what's been happening there as well. Like
Yeah.
if you scroll the next slide, I think that's the next
Yeah,
one.
yeah. I also have one here. Let me check. Yeah, yeah. So,
Uh,
like funding rate is now it's a bit slightly negative, and it has
mm,
been negative in February and March. So that means like there is an increasing amount of shorts around. So if Bitcoin if let's say that this is a bull trap and it's not going to be going to above 100 again, although Arthur Hayes said that it's going to be like was it 108k before correction, but so you might see this as a bull trap, and then it going lower. So where do you see like the ultimate support being? Is it like 60K or 50, 60K? It goes like
I think it's something between 50 and 60K. At least like if I look the sentiment at the moment, it's somewhere there. I think so. At least
yeah,
the current level, because it's still like plunging like crazy, like in the slide that they have there as well. And just kind of like also like the indication that because we get really normally like the sentiment is kind of like updated daily, and because I saw in the morning that there's a like drop, then I would expect that this actually fair opportunity because you can basically sell at higher levels than 2 weeks ago, like almost like over 10,000 euros, I think, or dollars,
do you think like
whatever currency we prefer. Yeah.
do you think the sell in May effect might like hit Bitcoin, that there's this sell in May effect in May, and like there's selling.
People take the money out for holidays. Yeah, that's kind of
Yeah,
like why it's called May effect, I think,
yeah,
because some people hold stocks until May, but this year has been really bad for US stocks. I don't know how strong it this year. If people have already sold, or they, because some people are still like buying Tesla and other tech companies, but I think they're also like the gains are kind of like capped like in Bitcoin as well,
yeah,
because those are highly correlated in the digital asset space.
yeah.
So because I'm still bearish on crypto-based sentiment and liquidity, I think also like the tech stocks will fall more because
I get like
they have only like corrected like 10%, and normally in corrections you see like 30 or 40, I think.
yeah. I could believe in this scenario that like we might have a further correction right now, and then probably like selling May in correlation with the stock market, and then maybe like sideways summer, and then after that we could have a bullish Q4. So market would
Yeah,
rebound by the
yeah,
Q4.
yeah. I think like Q4 is normally when we have, let's say,
Sounds
like more
plausible.
demand for risk assets. Like
Yeah,
after August, like it's normally end of last week of August when you see like this kind of like seasonal shift.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, because if you look close at that chart, that would have also ended like the last bear market ended somewhere in September, October, roughly,
yeah,
and like beginning of the following year was already like quite bullish, but
yeah,
still like shows that it's declining. So
yeah,
just personally, I just want to see that it start to shift the direction before going more like medium term or long term bullish, and just kind of like, and it's kind of like reflects also what you see in Twitter at the moment, that there's a lot of kind of like bearish noise as well, because it's not really like 100% bullish like 3 4 months ago.
yeah. That's right.
Yeah, like
So,
in more short term, I just love the sentiment because it's kind of like captures the raw idea where the market should go.
so you're seeing
Uh,
on-chain activity going lower still from here.
yeah, I think so. Like
Like,
because this is kind of like cleaned off seasonalities, so this only like the trend.
yeah,
So if it's falls, then it normally means that there's less demand for like blocks in Bitcoin blockchain, right? And that means less accounts and other activity like what is the miners revenue and those kind of things, and that's kind of like falling, and that's so I'm pretty like bearish on also all the Bitcoin miners like Mara and CSK and all that kind of companies,
yeah,
because the data still shows that their revenues are declining, and that's kind of like not really like bullish signal for buying any of those.
yep,
So I think it's like good time to probably fill the shelves when on-chain activity start to increase again. That's kind of
yeah,
like the normal situation where you actually want to be, because this also correlates strongly with the liquidity. So we should also see support for tech stocks and other risk assets when on-chain activity starts to go up. Sorry. And that's kind of like the probably the main direction of the market, I think, in the medium term and long term. If we think about following months, so I would expect following months to still be volatile and
yeah,
quite bearish. That the upside is kind of like limited. It might be that we trade up 5 or 10K up, but then it can always fall more, like we have seen in the last 3 weeks, right? That we had
yeah,
like one day when we traded like 15K up just because some rumors, and following day it's kind of like completely eliminated the game. And like today when I did the update, there's less a major drop, and that's why I think it's basically a bull trap. And then we see correction from this levels when MSTR stops buying in following days, likely.
But when looking at your like market sentiment model, like the green line here, to get close, like the market might have bottom already, because could it go any lower down?
Yeah, it can go negative actually. Like this one is still positive, right? Because
yeah,
it basically uses like certain moving averages to define the trend.
I was thinking
And
that much lower.
because the scoring is between -1 and 1, and we are on average we are still positive, right?
Okay.
So if it would go like -1, then the market would probably have died out or something, I guess.
Yeah.
I guess we could go somewhere negative, but if we get something like 50K, then I'm gonna like happy.
Okay.
Like
yeah.
if it drops somewhere there,
Do
50,
you
60K is
also
kind of like reasonable range. Yeah.
Yeah. I think a summer could be like 60, 70K sideways.
Yeah.
So do you also believe we could reach new all-time highs in Q4, like last quarter? Do you see it plausible or?
I think it just depends on the on-chain, right? Like we have, because normally we go in jumps like last October, right? We increased something from, is it like 60K to 100 plus something, right?
Yeah.
And that took only like 4 weeks. So if we have 3 months of like that we have massive jumps every month, then we can easily get to like 120 plus. So it's new all-time high, I guess. Like if we would go to, let's say 50K and we do 20, 30K a month, three months from let's say August onwards, then it's really doable still.
Yeah. But are you also like considering when talking about the on-chain, you're also considering that like many of the trades happen OTC, so basically like they might happen off-chain. So are you or is it possible to take that into account in any way? So OTC trade, so
I don't
like
think that I don't think that actually matters much because it uses the data how many coins you have mined, for instance.
yeah
Because if you would have more trading activity off chain, let's say in decentralized exchanges or something like that,
yeah
that shouldn't impact it much because you still would have to have the accounts in blockchain, I think,
yeah
and the mining and the generation of the blocks would still happen regardless, right? So it's kind of like incorporated in those datasets because my dataset basically uses three sources, like what happens in the mining process, but also what happens in network activity, number of accounts, and how much stuff or money is in the account itself, like in dollar terms. So it's kind of like takes these things account, and when those start to fall, because it basically weights those three factors separately, like because one of them is like the mining activity, for instance, related to mining, and one is the network activity, and the third was like related to blocks. So basically all kinds of different data sets, and then it just finds the path where things are going. So it's kind of like, I think it's kind of incorporated to the number of accounts and how much money is in the total blockchain, right? So the OTC shouldn't matter much if you don't trade in exchange, but you just call some call companies like KCSR or any other like Chain Street, or if you would be like major, let's say, institution that would be buying and selling digital assets, right? Then they would use some OTC broker to buy large amounts of, let's say,
yeah
coin X.
yeah.
So that
That's
would be kind of like incorporate, right?
hidden demand. And then there's a lot of OTC trading going on. As you said, like it's a bit like it's like below the surface, and it might not like straight affect the price. So
Yeah,
it's a good
yeah,
but
it's
sounds like
yeah, yeah. I think it's kind of like more related to the like which price we would use. Like if we use, let's say, prices, but
yeah
the models don't really use prices for anything. So it's would be more like inside the on-chain who holds the coins or how many blocks are mined, I would say.
yeah. Okay, yeah, interesting takes, and I think as a summary, I kind of like think the same way as you that we might see a further correction here. And then especially Bitcoin will likely correlate with the sell in May effect, and I might see like a sideways summer, but then market would correct by the Q4. So yeah, but
Yeah, like
I like
I
your
think like I think normally you still have like some sell off in August, like in equities. That's
yeah,
quite common actually.
yeah, it
I
has
don't
been
know. Yeah, it has happened so often in the last 2-3 years that August you have like 10% drop for some reason in
so
equity
Bitcoin is
market.
really like affected by seasonality, and
Yeah, yeah.
nowadays also correlation with stocks. Like it wasn't like that before, and a lot of people still talk about Bitcoin being as like having like non-correlation with the stock market, but nowadays it's
Mm.
quite heavily correlated with the tech stocks, and yeah, it's
Yeah, I think it's just that I think it's just because like a lot of those tech companies are like inside the blockchain, right?
yeah,
If you think about which, let's say, semiconductor chips people are using in the data centers that mine Bitcoin, so it's kind of like NVIDIA or AMD
yeah,
in most
yeah,
cases. So, and it's also like if you look any websites of Bitcoin news, then they normally write about NVIDIA, so it's kind of like also like indicative of what's going on
yeah,
in that side, I think. Yeah, it's
yeah.
just because like the sentiment is declining and on-chain data is quite bad. Plus the cutting of federal government in USA, that's kind of like reduces the credit
I think,
available, and that's just kind of like the main risk for MSTR as well, I think.
yeah. I agree that I think Bitcoin mining is not such a good business because like let's say you have a like a relatively small mining operation,
Mm.
for example, in Finland or in Europe, and then you're like competing with Marathon Digital and these like huge companies with all their scale, and like in Europe, for example, your energy price is high, and you will
Yeah,
always
yeah,
like guys in China or Russia mining with like a negative electricity prices or something like that. So it's like
yeah,
a competition is very like it's very like cutthroat competition uh,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
nowadays. And
Yeah,
yeah,
actually, I don't think like you can only like mine profitably probably in Europe, in Finland, or northern Sweden and Norway at the moment, actually,
yeah,
because there's like enough hours that are negative. Then it's
yeah,
but sometimes like these miners just become like power traders actually because they buy the energy when nobody wants it,
yeah,
and
yeah,
that's kind of like the main business case, I would say,
yeah.
because
Good
they
point.
kind of like act as a like battery in that sense.
Yes, as
Because
same
they
as like Bitcoin as yeah energy battery. Mining this,
Mhm.
then move to another. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, but it's
yeah, yep, yeah, everything is fine. Yeah,
so
I
it's
think like I think like batteries is kind of like good example actually, like how it works in how those mining companies work. I think because it's kind of like just the big battery companies that take out all the excess capacity.
yeah, yeah, that's right. Yeah, yeah. There might be some like niche opportunities, but it's not an
Yeah,
industry to be in. It's not like easy
yeah, I don't think so. Yeah,
as it used to be. Like we have some old friends who used to mine with their like PCs in Helsinki back in like 2011 or something like that. So you
yeah, yeah,
mine with your
yeah.
laptop.
No, yeah. Like some people used to do it in dormitories in university, I think,
Yeah, yeah,
because internet was kind of like free and
yeah,
one
yeah.
could do those kind of
The,
things. But
the
yeah,
internet like nowadays very like specialized and very like competitive. You might be able to do it, but
yeah.
it's not easy money.
Yeah,
There are no free lunches. But hey, we have talked for 23 minutes
yeah,
now.
actually, yeah.
I
I think
guess
like yeah. I think the like the easiest way for people to have access to those industries is kind of like buying the stocks.
yeah, it's true. Yeah. But hey, appreciate your models as usual, and
Yeah,
hopefully we can talk soon again. And as usual, don't forget to check our partner QuarnX. Thank you for watching. Thank you, Juhani.
yeah. Thanks for your time.
Thanks.
See you
Bye.
later.